Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler.
They're leaning in.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now. I mean, Disney, one of the most gay-friendly companies.
Through this, right? Oh, there's no prince. Woman doesn't need a prince.
Oh, Lord.
Really? Okay, good luck back then.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
And I get it, there's a difference between spoiling and whatever, but to go out and badmouth everybody and talk smack about, older movies in the same franchise, the canon story, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they would have had better control over that.
Well, it's just so stupid. Like, of course you do. It doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
She had it all. The voice, the spotlight, the Disney crown. But in just a few short years, Rachel Zegler went from Hollywood's next big thing to box office poison. So what happened? At just 20 years old, Rachel Zegler made headlines by winning a Golden Globe for West Side Story. She was the youngest ever to do it. Hollywood took notice. Spielberg chose her. She was meant to be the next star. But not every spotlight brings glory. Sometimes it burns. Her rise was swift, but her fall even faster. When Disney cast Rachel as Snow White in their bold new remake, it should have been career-defining. Instead, it defined her downfall. Long before the movie even hit theaters, Rachel sparked outrage. Not once, not twice, but in nearly every interview, she trashed the original cartoon, dismissed the prince, mocked the love story, labeled the classic scary and outdated. She wasn't just reimagining a fairy tale, she was rewriting her own future, and not for the better. Audiences listened, and they didn't like what they heard. Rather than promoting the film, Rachel became its biggest controversy. Her words dominated headlines. Her tone felt smug, entitled, "I'm a narcissist. She laughed in one interview. In another, she joked about her co-star's scenes being cut. The backlash was immediate and brutal. By the time the trailers dropped, the damage was done. Fans weren't excited. They were dreading it. Then came the dwarves. Gone were the iconic characters from the animated film. In their place,
I'm a narcissist.
Was gifted very good cheekbones from God, which is something I thank him for constantly.
You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarves want to work.
I think this is their policies coming back to bite them. They went woke.
Yeah.
She went out and said stuff woke that was going to hurt the film. They couldn't come out and go against her because then you're going after somebody for saying what you say you believe. But at the same time, I think going forward, they're going to be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Tight-lipped. Otherwise, guess what? We're clawing back some money.
Yeah.
I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right. This is demeaning. And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So, ho, ho, ho.
Then I can't bitch about it. This girl took the money and then decided that she wanted to go out there and, you know what, I'm going to take my stand. Well, you should have made that stand before you took the money to promote a film, because that's not in line with your job description.
a mess of CGI figures that looked like unfinished video game extras. The magic was missing. The heart, nowhere to be found. And when the songs began, painfully forgettable, painfully dull, even Disney loyalists began to turn away. The verdict came in fast. Snow White bombed. A catastrophic 66% drop-off in its second weekend sealed its fate. One of the lowest-rated Disney films ever. Audience reviews were savage. Social media tore it apart. And suddenly, the dream turned into a PR disaster no studio wanted to touch. But this wasn't Rachel's first brush with disappointment. Her earlier films also flops. West Side Story may have been loved by critics, but it barely made back a fraction of its $100 million budget. Shazam! Fury of the Gods? Another box office dud. Even DC couldn't save her from fading momentum. And while many blamed bad timing, pandemic releases, or superhero fatigue, Rachel's pattern was starting to look less like bad luck and more like bad branding. 2023 made things worse. During the Hollywood writers' strike, she became one of the loudest voices. If I'm going to stand 18 hours in a dress, I deserve to be paid for every hour it's streamed. That's what she said. And the internet didn't forget. Her comments came off less like solidarity and more like arrogance. One producer even flew to New York to get her to walk it back. She didn't. Instead, the controversy around Snow White kept growing. Every post, every clip, every soundbite felt like another nail in the coffin of her career.
For Snow White, it's coming to terms with finding herself and finding her inner voice and finding a sense of agency so that she can be a just ruler and a wonderful queen, because there's another one in town.
Yeah, this would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, a prince, if it wasn't about socialism.
I think they could have done all that. Well, you want to call? They could have done all that still, and as long as she had gone out and been like, well, we just have a different story. I like the old story, but we're doing a different one this time.
This is like an honest golden employment opportunity for dwarves.
There's not that many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
So even though woke in some sense feels like it's dead, it still has to run its course through the system. The ghosts have to get out of the machine in essence.
You're probably right.
The backlash would have been 10 times.
Yes. You're probably right.
And so I've got some bona fides here on being fair. The movie was absolutely terrible.
Even her success in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes couldn't save her. Yes, the film performed well, but Rachel's reputation was already too damaged. The audience wasn't talking about her performance. They were still talking about Snow White and how she destroyed it before it had a chance to breathe.
It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. This movie was like you took the original Snow White and just put everything through this filter of liberalism. It wasn't through a filter of Japanese anime, it was through a filter of liberalism. In every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
Was the failure all her fault? No, but she became the symbol of it. She didn't write the film. She didn't animate the dwarves. She didn't compose the cringy songs. But she did go on camera over and over again and make the movie harder to love.
Great, okay? It's great. I'm honored. I don't know why I sound so angry right now. I'm honored. Am I a psychopath?
The movie is really, really bad. So the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater. Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
It's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
And now Hollywood has gone quiet. Studios see the headlines, they hear the backlash, they know that casting her now means inheriting that PR storm. And when you're seen as box office poison, the roles disappear fast. She still has talent. She still has a voice, but the damage is deep. Rachel Zegler may have once been on track to be Disney royalty. Now she's a cautionary tale, a reminder that in Hollywood fame is fragile, and the mic is always on. Maybe she'll find redemption on Broadway, where the lights are bright but the stakes aren't so high. But as far as Tinseltown goes, this may be the final act.